Guys, happy Monday. How's it going? Wishing you all a great week ahead of you. My name is Macy. I am the founder of Catch Clinic in San Francisco Bay Area, and also I am the founder of a nonprofit called Autism Career Pathways. So hey Lisa, I always forget to introduce myself, so I need to do that for people who just recently followed my parent coaching account. So Lisa, I will have you come at the end because I have my content today and I need to talk about what I was supposed to be talking about. So I would love to have you come when I'm done telling the stories. Hey Melanie, welcome. So today I'm super excited because I just realized that there's so many stories that I can share with you guys because I've been working with autistic individuals of all ages, no race, Lisa, for like 30 years. So I have stories to share with you guys of autistic people that I have worked with, and they are non-speaking. And let me just clarify that non-speaking means they prefer not using verbal channel, their verbal channel to communicate, because they may have apraxia, they may have other co-occurring conditions, therefore their ability to use the verbal channel is minimal. But the stories that I'm going to tell you today is about them communicating with me. So it's not my stories, it's my stories with them because they're in it with me. So I think this is important for me to share, for parents and also for clinicians, therapeutic clinicians of... Hi May, so come on in. So I'm super excited. So let's get started. So the first story I'm going to tell you just recently happened last Tuesday when I had a home visit. So I was hanging out basically with a 15-year-old, let's call him Mr. J. And he is now at 15 years old. He's trying to figure out how to use an AAC device, and the program that we're exploring is called Touch Chat. So we're just getting that started. But when I visited, we went outside and he wanted to show me his trampoline outside. And as we were walking outside, there was like walking down, and I have really, really poor balance. So, and I was wearing my flip-flops. So I don't because I fall down a lot. I'm not the most coordinated person. So I was very tentative. So Mr. J was walking in front of me and we were walking down, and it was amazing how he sensed my hesitance. And he turned around, looked at me, and he just looked at me, and he had such a reassuring face. And he offered his hand. And waited for me to take his hand. And all the way down towards the trampoline, he did not let go of my hand, you guys. It was so beautiful. I was so touched. I just couldn't believe that he had that sense and he was there to guide me, basically. So he's 15 years old and he's taller than me. And he just had the ability to take care of other people. So this is a very important story that I want to tell you guys, because I think that's a dream for all of us parents, to raise people, to raise human beings, to be able to be kind and observant of others and be able to know what to do, like what Mr. J was doing. You know, he offered his hand, waited for me to take his hand, and he was able to provide support for me. So the roles were reversed, right? So that's the first story. And the second story I wanted to tell you also, from this young man. When I worked with this kid, he was younger. He was actually one of my clients in Indonesia. So I know there are people here from Indonesia. So we worked together actually when I was doing ABA therapy. And at that point, maybe he was 7. And learning the ABA programs, the way that we design it was very, very difficult for him because he had trouble like being able to consistently showing us what he knew. And we found out that he actually saw the world in words, you guys. It was incredible. We didn't know that. And some of these kids, they had the hyperlexia ability, so they were early readers, but because they were not able to say those words, they were not able to read a book and read it out loud, for example, right? So he was one of those kids that he actually saw, he processed what's going on in his world. It somehow, if there were words shown to him, it made more sense to him, you know? So after I knew that, I basically helped him to use a typing board, and we learned very quickly that he could type on his slowly over the period of a couple months, and it was incredible. What a mind that this 7-year-old have, right? Hey, Melanie, yeah. Yes, exactly. So a lot of people, they were able to read. So kids who have a lot of interest in books, really invest in that. Read it and making your reading time meaningful, because that could open up a door for them to be able to write later, maybe type or something like that. But anyways, this little kid, I didn't even give him a name. Yeah, so his name was Jason. And so once he was able to communicate, he would only communicate with me and his therapist, right, for months. So he would tell us things like, oh, I want to paint my room yellow. He said, I want this room to be painted yellow. And then he would tell us like all these ABA materials. He would say, okay, I'm done with that. I know everything I need to know about those cards. He said, get rid of it. You know, it was kind of funny, but imagine him like typing slowly and telling us. It was so incredible. And I felt bad because whenever we had our team meetings, of course he was there. And this was probably, let's see, maybe 25 years ago, you guys. So I was doing behavioral intervention. And I actually apologized to him. I said, you know, Jason, I'm so sorry that we always talk about you during the team meetings, and we just, you know, didn't mean to say anything bad about you. You know, I'm really sorry. And you know what he said to me? He said, Miss Macy, he said, I know that you're here to help me. You know, I know you're here to help me. That's what he said. And of course, that made me very teary. It was just, I think, very impactful to me to be able to work with him. And from that point on, I never really think of anyone non-speaking like different than a person who's trying his or her their best. You know, that's very, very important, because you never know what's underneath and who the person is until you have the opportunity. Like, remember, every door has a key. Every door has a key. And if you're blessed enough to be in my position, to be able to partner up with parents and to help find the right key, that is the blessing. We are the blessed one, you know. So let me think of other stories about, and then Jason, I asked him, why did you like only type with us therapists, you know, and you don't want to type for your mom because your mom would like to talk to you. It would be so special if you can talk to her. And this is what he said. He said that I'm not really good at typing yet. He said, I'm just getting started. So when I feel good about my typing ability, I'm going to talk to my mom this way, which is so insightful for a 7-year-old to be able to do that, you know? So I think, it's incredible. And then over time, of course, he was like able to communicate this way with his parents, with other people. And that was my story about Jay. Okay, so the next story is also incredible. This is a teenager who actually, I'm part of his board member. So he also runs an incredible YouTube channel called Mondays with Matteo. So if you guys like YouTube, find him, follow him. That's him. That's Matteo. Very handsome fella. And he types using the RPM method, rapid prompting method, with his mom. So he does need a partner to type. But this young man has written like 4 or 5 books. Like, I'm gonna post all these titles, but I'm sure if you find him, Mondays with Matteo, Matto, shout out to you, Matteo and Annette. You know, all these books, you know, he's incredible. So Matteo is able to actually speak verbally, but he prefers to use his letterboard with his partner to get his thoughts down. And that's how he wrote his books. And I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to quickly read one of my favorite ever book. It's called, this is Matteo's book. It's called Loveland. And on the first page, that's his handwriting. And he said, to Macy. And then he wrote, love works best. Isn't that beautiful? I have goosebumps as I'm reading this again, his message to me. He said, love works best, right? Okay, so let me just, okay, this one is called Loveland. Melanie, you're gonna love this. Okay, so I'm gonna read a couple of pages, okay? Once upon a time, there was lots of right and wrong in the land. Having lots of eye contact was right, but avoiding it was wrong and considered just plain disrespectful. As a kid, being constantly obedient was right, but finding a way to calm yourself in a way that didn't hurt others was wrong. Saying hello and goodbye with words was right, but just wishing them well with your heart was wrong. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's incredible. Keeping quiet unless you're speaking intelligibly was right, but letting out pent-up energy with creative Martian sounds was wrong. Fitting in was right, but standing out was wrong. I'm going to show you his art. He's also an incredible artist. Okay, I'm reading Matteo's book. Making progress in menial skills was right, but being taught meaningful academics if you don't speak was wrong. Playing with kids your age in their way was right, but just hanging out and enjoying their company and entertaining ways was wrong. Imitating others was right, but originality was wrong. Who in the land was graced with such power to determine right from wrong? Great message for me, for parents, for people working with this population. Is there only room for one? Okay, start over, sorry. Is there only room for one way to exist, or might there be another place to visit? A land where love determines right from wrong. A land where compassion determines reaction. A land where acceptance is king and rules the land with love. A land where standing out is revered as brave and creative. Seeing that? Okay, so I'm gonna continue. This land can exist in every heart. You only need to open it up and go for a visit, then choose the land in which you live your life. So I'm going to stop here. But this is Matteo's book, Love Land. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, so he's written up a book, a poet. He's a poet, he's an artist. He wants to be a food critic, you guys. So he's got aspirations. You can find his videos on my earlier post. There was a video of him playing piano with his mom. I believe there's also a video of me interviewing him. So he's incredible, right? So he uses letterboard as a preferred method to continue to type. Okay, so then the next story I'm going to tell you is about Big Al. So Alex is 28 years old and he does speak, but the verbal communication in the social ways, I think, is something that he's still continuing to learn. But what I want to tell you about Alex is that when you hang out with him and he feels comfortable with you, he will always, always give you a compliment. And isn't it hard to teach any kid to compliment someone else? But Alex does it beautifully. You know, so he compliments differently if it's a guy versus a woman. And for example, he might say, Macy, I love the color of your lipstick. And for my husband, he might say, Pete, I like your glasses, or I like your shoes. So, and every time we see him, he always pick one thing that he compliments, you know. And other than that, he doesn't really like say much. If you ask him open-ended questions, you know, he probably thinks about it, but it's very hard for him to participate in a conversation that way. But I think when I'm with him, it's like we're so happy together. We're very connected. And when we hang out together, we usually do like cooking activities and we just hang out. That's really what I do when I go visit my clients. I hang out with the kids, I hang out with my clients, hang out with the parents. We do something together. Sometimes we do yard work. Sometimes we do lots of cooking and baking, of course. We do lots of organization. We hang out. We take walks. Sometimes we meet at the mall. Basically, my job is to show parents possibilities through me. So I'm not there to give them a list of things to do, and I'm not there to tell them what to do. I'm there to understand the family culture and help them to own it. Like with autism conditions, I help them to own it and make it work for their family the best at everyone can. So that's really important. Keep in mind. Okay, so next story. This young lady, she is actually a former client. Let's just call her Miss M. She prefers actually to text. So when we spent time together, she suffers from OCD. So it's very hard for us to actually communicate, because she would just say everything and then in the way that she likes to talk about things and say things. So usually when I hang out with her, I just listen to her, and that's how we hang out. So she always talk about birds and sports cars. And she could just go on and on and on, and it's not my job to tell her, no, don't talk about that. Stop talking about birds, or bird poop or something like that. No, we don't do that. I just hang out. I was there to be her listener, and she didn't have someone like that, because people always interrupt her. People always tell her, no, don't talk about your special interests. That's not right, the way you talk to people like that, right? So I just hung out. But anyways, I found out that if I use her system, so one of her OCD habit, if you call it, every week there's a number that she picks. So if she picks number 7, then everything she does is in that quantity. So we actually have to help her not to do that, because it's not healthy to eat 7 sandwiches every day for 7 days, or it's not healthy. She cannot take 7 vitamin pills. You know what I mean? So when we talk about OCD, sometimes it can be very dangerous, right? So I figured out, when she texts me, it used to be when I text her back and started asking her question to my text, that's it. She would stop responding to me. But I figured out, when she texts, there's a code in there. When she texts me, she'll type one word, and then there's a space. The space actually tells me the number of the week. So this week I know that she's on to number 3, because she will text me, hi, stop, 1, 2, 3, and how, one word, stop, 1, 2, 3. So once you figure out that pattern, you can do texting back and forth, no problem. So she just texted me yesterday, and she said, hi, Macy, I miss seeing you in person. That's what she said. So it was so beautiful. So when you figure out your kid's system, their preferred method to connect with us, and we compromise, I think the sky is the limit in terms of bonding and really providing a safe opportunity for them to come out and express themselves. So we can have more back and forth this way. I think it's incredible. Do you guys have any questions? Those are like I have other stories, but those are the ones that I wrote on my list. Do you have other questions do you have kids who are not yet using nonverbal methods to communicate? Sometimes they communicate through books, through their books that they bring to you. That could be your key. They do give us little clues. I am in San Francisco Bay Area, but I actually work with people from all over the world. But I try to put these Instagram lives so that I can help as many families from all over the world, because, that's really important for parents to have a different mindset. So your kids give you these clues, these breadcrumbs that a lot of times as parents, because we're stuck to making our kids talk, we completely bypass that. Yeah, there you go. Melanie said that her son used to communicate through YouTube videos. That's perfect. That's your key there, Melanie. You could just hang out with them, like watching YouTube videos, maybe bath time would be another way that you can explore, because being in the bath with water, it's very relaxing. So when they're regulated, they're more likely to give you more clues, I think. Okay, a question. How do you find the system pattern to connect with a person who is non-speaking? Okay, right. So first question, how do you find pattern to connect when a person who is non-speaking? So I think the best way is there are a couple of rules. One, if you don't know how to do that, or you don't have the key yet, I suppose, is to really slow down and observe them. That's really the first step. Because when you're like always over them, like you're not giving them time to process, you're always asking them questions, that has the opposite effect, complete opposite effect. So don't do that. If you don't know what system works, and a lot of times they already have a system, their system might be at this point bringing you things, come closer to you, maybe asking you to tickle them. That is their method of inviting you. Then what you have to do is really be in the moment and really explore that with them. Because all these AAC devices, all the apps, you guys, the touch chat, all this, like the letterboard and all that, if they don't want to use it because they don't feel safe with mom and dad, they won't use it. It's the world is just so confusing enough. So if you ask me, like when you work with a speech therapist and you're exploring an AAC device, I would say have your speech therapist train you as mom and dad, because at home is the safe zone and they are more likely to use it if they feel safe. So don't actually let a new program, definitely not use behavioral methods, don't use rewards to use it, don't make it static, right? So whether it's a letterboard or an app on your iPad or so on, find a great speech therapist or a consultant and for the families to really explore it. And what you do is you actually model that communication first. So don't ask him, okay, touch A or spell dinner or things like that, because then you're making it very static. But instead, you could actually just use your iPad and talk about a photo. Like, oh, I had fun going swimming. You model it first. So don't put the pressure on them, but you show the pathway yourself, and you might have to do that for a while, right? Yeah, it doesn't feel good when kids try to communicate with their nonverbal abilities, nonverbal channels, and then it's, you know, parents don't count that in. Yeah, so it's very, very important. So I think that is, does anybody have any questions? Again, start as early as possible. Meaning for parents to really think that, how can I support my child to be able to comfortably communicate with me? And the way to do that is to meet them where they're at. So if the verbal channel is difficult because they have co-occurring condition related to that, if they have apraxia, or it's just not easy for them, what you want to build is the mind. When you want to encourage is really, it's okay to do it your way, you know, whatever that may be. It could be drawings. It could be drawings. That's also another key you might explore for kids who love to just doodle. It could be through expression of art. It could be anything. So don't get stuck, because when they feel like, oh, my mom and I could do this together, you know, whatever that may be, my mom and I can do this together. And then slowly, you know, it becomes, that activity becomes a vehicle for you and your child to really connect. And maybe he can bring the tools that you need to do something. You know, all of these are communication. It's not verbal communication, but in the long run, they will have some vehicles, activities, special interests that they feel comfortable, where they can be the master. And that's the way they're going to communicate. Right? So find that special interest. Yeah, so Melanie is saying, Melanie, I want to give you her a shout out. So she runs an awesome Facebook group, the Autistic Grandma on Facebook. It's so amazing. Melanie is autistic, and she's also a mom of autistic children, you guys. So for the therapists here, the parents here, you go follow her account. And she's one of a great autistic advocate who does it with such grace and straight to the point. I like that, Melanie, about you. But she writes beautifully, and she's positive. So I really want you to check her posts. Okay, so is there any other questions? So hopefully that was interesting. I will definitely tell you Matteo's books, and I hope you get his books, because his words are so beautiful, and all of you kids are beautiful. They have beautiful minds, and your kids are there for you. So keep that in mind, okay? All right, take care, guys. Have a good week. Bye. Yes, it is gonna be it is recorded, and I'm going to post it on IGTV, and please share it. I would love it if everyone here shares this, and hopefully it's helpful for other families. Okay, guys, you take care. Bye.